Hi, I filed bankruptcy 5.5 years ago, and I'm back in debt.
It's amazing how many trips you can take and how many places you can see when you use a credit card irresponsibly.
$178,745.
Okay, so today we're going back to a staple on this channel, some really bad credit card debt, with the total debt in the US reaching 1.31 trillion, along with delinquencies rising. It's not really a surprise that there is so much content like this online. We have a ton of stuff to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's just start off with this example.
So I have calculated all of our debt because that's something that I want to tackle and get it down as low as possible. I didn't realize how far in debt we were. I don't even want to say this number. We are, not including our mortgage, everything but our mortgage. Student loans, car payments, credit cards, home equity, $178,745. Why did we do that? Minimum payments calculated together are $3,562.72.
Minimum payments, $3,500. And like she said, they didn't include the mortgage. Some people's numbers get wildly inflated when you add on a $400,000 house, but that is not what happened here. And I mean, it's getting so bad that one of the recent trending sounds people have been using to show all the debt that they're in, and I probably could have made a video using all of these clips by themselves. That's how many there are. Debt I've accumulated in the ripe age of 28 years old. Just a ton of different balances, in total around $26,000. This one is at the age of 22 and we're talking 27,000. I mean, this one just starts running through balance after balance, in total a little bit over $65,000 worth of debt. This clip is pretty insane, in total a little bit over $750,000. However, the mortgage is $472,000. Even though it is debt at the end of the day, I would say it's on a different playing field compared to the almost $20,000 worth of credit card debt and over $250,000 with student loans. Here's another one, only 23 years old, about $90,000 in the hole, another 23-year-old in $32,000, and 26 looking at about $43,000. But we have some comments from this post: $23,000 for a Chrysler Pacifica. Ma'am, you need a legal guardian with these decisions you've made. The next one's just a photo of Caleb Hammer, 23 grand on a Chrysler Pacifica again. So what I'm gathering is Discover has us all in a chokehold. Discover is so diabolical with their credit limits, and I definitely understand that they try to make you spend as much as humanly possible, but at the end of the day, it is still your choice. And unfortunately, there are so many people in bad situations like this.
How much debt do you have?
A lot.
Can you give us a number, a ballpark?
Probably like 90.
90,000 total.
Total.
Break it down. What kind of debt do you have?
Student loans, and then a car. That's technically a debt.
Yeah. How much left on the car loan?
Well, I just bought a Mercedes, so it's a lot.
How much debt do you currently have total?
Probably like 80,000 in student loans.
All student loans.
Yeah.
No car payment, no credit card debt, none of that.
No, that's my parents.
How about you? How much debt do you have?
I feel like maybe like 40,000. I don't know.
You just feel like is there? You're just like, I'm vibing.
Like whatever I have from school is it. But I'm in grad school right now, so it's like a lot more now.
Are you adding to it currently?
Yeah.
But everything's student loans. No car payment, no credit card, nothing else.
Well, I leased my car, so I don't know how that works.
Oh, that's debt. They'll tell you.
I feel like it's fine.
What's the payment on the lease?
Like $500 a month.
This is a nice car. What is this car?
The Bronco.
Oh my goodness, the Bronco. How long do you think it'll take to pay off 80 grand in student loans?
A while.
That was honestly pretty tough to watch. But thank God the first woman got a Mercedes. Oh, look at me. The Broncos are kind of in the same category, even though it's not a luxury vehicle. People love them, so $500 a month lease. She didn't really know how that worked out though. And how long is it going to take to pay down the debts? A while. Some of the comments, I feel like it's fine. Financial ignorance isn't cute. But keeping on pace with the car debt, I found another clip having a car payment because I deserve a car with no miles, red interior, Apple CarPlay, and ventilated seats, which we've seen this trend before. However, if we take a look a little bit further, Beach City Toyota, you deserve it. Hashtag Toyota dealership TikTok, and Sequoia. So these are car salesmen trying to convince you that you deserve it. You should get the new Sequoia TRD Pro from our dealership too. And if you don't know anything about that model, they're sitting at around $85,000. I deserve is a statement broke people make. Dealership propaganda making you think it's okay to have $1,000 car payment. I'd probably venture to guess guess with this vehicle, probably $1,200 to $1,400, not including insurance. You deserve that 18% APR too. Funny enough, that was a very good transition to the next screenshot. You think you could hurt my feelings? I have an APR of 18% and still have $22,000 to pay on a car I don't even want anymore. So maybe you did get influenced to buy that $85,000 Sequoia in the last clip, and within a year, maybe even a few months, it's not nearly as cool anymore. I don't even want it. You didn't have great credit, and that 18% interest rate would be brutal. Putting myself in timeout for being $160,000 in debt by 23 and buying a brand new car. It's just one after another, video after video. Just even more images of Caleb Hammer and Dave Ramsey looking annoyed. They're going to have guests and call-ins for their show till the end of time. I'm $106,000 in debt and I went shopping. Here's what I bought. Then it's just slide after slide of joggers. Here's a pair of leggings. The very basic Ugg boot that we all know is $220. Did not know it was that expensive. Another pair of sweatpants, jeans for $50, pink Birkenstocks that are another $155. Total spent $604, feeling so much guilt. Really? If you were that guilty about it, why would you post this online for everybody to see? Kind of just looks like you want to be a part of the hauls and overconsumption TikTok while also being in 6 figures worth of debt. Another comment from one of you guys, Tinder should put a consumer debt filter on. I know the dating scene overall right now is not in good shape, but if there was any way you could find out people's debts before you started talking, I feel like there'd be even less people in the dating market than there already is.
So I have a little bit of credit card debt, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I moved to Nashville, Tennessee with not really that much money, and then I decided to fully furnish my bedroom. But I will say something I've learned over the past couple of months is that a lot of my friends also do too. And it's very comforting in a way. Like, not that I'm proud of my friends for having credit card debt, but I'm just like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one. Because at the end of the day, we're all just in our 20s trying to figure out how the fuck to live in a freaking universe where rent is like $1,500. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. And then our parents are like, why are you in so much credit card debt? I'm sorry that rent isn't $400 like it was when you were 25.
Well, okay, I would say $1,500 a month is probably normal price to maybe on the low end now. I see a lot more people complaining about their rent when it's $2,000 to $3,000 now. And of course, it would be way cheaper a decade or two ago. But you admitting that you moved to another city with basically no money and then immediately spending money to furnish those rooms? Was there no plan beforehand? And then kind of explaining it away, saying that everybody has it, it's okay. And that's what the comment section says. Everybody has credit card debt, so many just act like they don't. I just pretend it's not there. As long as I pay some, my credit stays the same. I'm not worried. That's exactly how it snowballs, and that interest destroys you. Your credit card debt is because you furnished your bedroom. I would say that's a part of it, but probably not the whole picture. A couple comments from you guys talking about one of the older credit card debt videos. The amount of people that just openly admit they're scumbags is incredible. The lady talking about how she hid $55,000 worth of debt from her husband, whether it is for followers or the real deal, is just disgusting. Another one, hiding debt from your spouse or significant other is so insidious. If I was that lady's husband, I would have been filing for divorce the same day. No way I'm living with that level of distrust. So that's exactly what we saw, somebody making a TikTok informing the entire world of her debt and not her own husband. Sounds like a quick way to get a divorce to me, but this is way more common than you think, let alone how bad of a decision it is to take on a whole bunch of credit card debt, but then not telling your significant other. I mean, I can't even understand the thought process.
You know, she has multiple credit cards, and I can't see anything that happens on those. So with that stuff, I don't know what she spends on that.
Wait, how? No. We're not having a household financial conversation if there's like documents that he can't see.
Well,
What?
I don't see his credit card statements either.
What? So we're not having a household. What the fuck are we doing? So we're not having a household financial conversation. We don't know what's actually happening. That is so different. So you only look at the joint account? That means nothing. That tells you a third of the picture. How can we possibly know what's actually happening if we don't know what the fuck is actually happening? This doesn't make any sense. If we can't see 2/3, how the fuck are we guessing what the full pie is?
He doesn't
No
spend
wonder.
on his credit cards though.
So it's just you.
Yeah.
Then no wonder we don't know how much is being spent.
I don't even understand being in a relationship with somebody if you're not on the same financial page. You're almost guaranteed to crash and burn in the future. Another comment from you guys, the scary part about Klarna is the accessibility. You can use it for everything, instead of the original reason of splitting up giant purchases. I still remember there was a screenshot of somebody using Klarna for a Costco hot dog, and I believe it was like 37 or 38 cents for like 4 or 6 weeks, and then they were able to pay it off. I know in the end it was supposed to be a joke, but that comment is very true. You could use it for almost everything now. And that's a real quick way for people to spend more money than they actually have.
Guys, how much credit card debt are we in? Seriously, please tell me. And I'm talking consumer debt. I'm not talking like car payments. Well, maybe a car payment. Actually, no. I'm not talking student loans. I am talking credit card consumer debt. How much credit card debt are we in? How many credit cards do you have? Please tell me, because I'm supposed to be on a debt-free journey, and I'm trying, but I can't stop shopping. I'm a shopaholic. We're talking about it in therapy. That's fine. But please tell me so I can feel a little bit better about myself.
$20,000, baby. $30,000. $47,000. These balance transfers got me bad. $10,000, $44,000, $18,000. I think you guys get the picture. There was a little bit over 12,000 comments just on this video alone. And I think I just ran through like, what, 6 of them? Now we'll go through a couple of the arguments that I see online when people talk about credit card debt. The biggest one by far is that the US government is in ungodly amounts of debt. So if they're not paying it back, why should I? And I understand the thought process, especially when we hit a new record.
I just want to begin today's video by congratulating the US governments for reaching a new milestone. So the US federal government is now in debt by $37 trillion. Like, we did it, everyone. So this is the official stats according to the US Treasury's websites.
At this point, you could just start rattling off numbers. 37 trillion is such a large amount that we can't even really wrap our brains around it. So that turns into a lot of people saying, who cares? Nothing matters. Money isn't real. And while I don't think anybody defends the government for their ridiculous spending, normal people are not on an even playing field when it comes to that kind of money. The government could keep getting loans, keep printing money, just racking up that debt higher and higher, but you'll end up having your wages garnished, liens against your house, virtually everything taken away from you and going bankrupt way before the government will. So as unfair as it sounds, you still need to take your debt seriously. And speaking about going bankrupt, that's a lot of other people's arguments. I'll have a great time using Klarna, going on vacations, buying whatever I want, rack up a whole bunch of debt and go bankrupt. And yeah, it'll take a while for my credit to go back up, but everything will just magically be okay in the end without learning any better financial habits or spending habits. And then you turn into this example.
Hi, I filed bankruptcy 5.5 years ago, and I'm back in debt again. I have $95,000 worth of debt. I have the numbers here. $45,000 is cars. I have 2 cars, 2 Kias. $18,368,000 is loans, not student loans, personal loans. And then the rest is credit card debt. $31,604 in credit card debt between me and my husband. Yeah, we're in a crap ton of trouble. That's ridiculous. We did not learn our lesson the first time, and we've put ourselves in this situation again. So I'm here for accountability and to show me paying our debt off.
And now, because this is the second time of her getting into bad debt, most likely the interest rates are even worse than the first. The type of loans you're going to get for the 2 Kias when your credit score is tanked is going to be really rough. Same thing with the credit cards. So if she couldn't get herself out of the hole the first time, it's going to be way worse now with the $95,000 worth of debt. That's why I make these types of videos showing you the horror stories so you don't get into this type of trouble. We at least have a little bit of positivity in this video with a comment from you guys. My girlfriend had $30,000 in debt. She was just never taught how to manage money. She's down to $5,000 now. I'm really proud of her. So I get it. Everybody makes mistakes, especially if you're younger. A lot of people do regret going to college with their student loans right now. I've told you guys before, I basically set $20,000 on fire being a dropout. Even this next example showing basically the origin story of Caleb Hammer.
What was your financial problem? Just so I know, like, where did you start where you're like, oh, okay, I'm in a bad spot?
College was I was so dumb in college, man. Just starting to go into it. I was going into a major that wasn't going to make any money. I wanted to go into music. And of course, if you're going to go into music, you have to have like a $50,000 computer or whatever. It's some nice, beautiful iMac. So max out a credit card with that. Got to have an electric piano. You got to be cool. You know, you got to be like the other music majors. Max out a credit card with that. Why cook when you're tired from school? Go to McDonald's every day. And that's before I was even a fat. Like, you know, I was just able to consume those and still be skinny, but max out a credit card with that. Got to get around. So I maxed out. I got like a $11,000 car loan, but I couldn't afford the down payment. Of course, I didn't know anything about money, so I borrowed like $5,000 from the grandparents just to get a down payment on a car. It's the same stuff we're seeing on the show.
Some of the comments, I find even more value that he was in a similar situation to his guests. It's nice to hear this story too. I really admired him telling his own story. And I've said several times previously, that's one of the benefits, in my opinion, of social media. You could learn basically anything you want financially online, kind of as early as possible too, even when you're in high school. I wish I took my finances more seriously when I was around 16, 17, so I could have been in a better place if I did know about this type of content. And when you legitimately start turning things around, that's when you see all the little tricks and tactics these credit card companies do to hopefully keep you spending and racking up that debt.
So I called to cancel a credit card today, and the guy was like, instead of canceling, Miss Marble, why don't we refund you some of your payments from like the past 2 months and then up it to 15,000, your limit? And I said, no, thank you. I just want to cancel. And he goes, how about this then? How about we up it to 15,000, give you these traveling perks and all these other things? And I was like, oh my God. I know this is his job to push, but like he is not hearing me. And so I said, no, thank you. Don't want that. And he was like, how about this? And I said, you know, I really don't want this credit card. And I had a meeting with my spirit guides and they agreed with me that I should get rid of this credit card too. And I don't really need it. And after I said that, he was like, no problem, Miss Marble. I will get this handled for you right away. And I was like, thank you so much. I will call myself the village crazy lady. I will volunteer for that title.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty good tactic to me. You start throwing out insane statements to people trying to sell you or keep you using the credit card, they're just going to want you off the phone and then you finally get what you want. But we've seen similar situations, so what she was talking about, upping the credit card limit. I remember there was another user tracking their debt payoff journey, and as the balance was going down, they were getting more and more emails saying, we're increasing the credit limit for you to go on vacation. This and that, you could buy whatever you want, trying to entice you to basically relapse. And we could take a look at some of the comments. They would have gotten me with the refunded payments, I fear. That's exactly why they say it. Maybe they'll give you a few $100s, but they're going to make their money back in the end when you just keep swiping that card. Another problem that I've seen online is basically wolves in sheep's clothing like this.
There is literally no worse feeling than getting paid, paying your bills, and not having anything left over. Which then leaves you no other choice but to use credit cards, which causes more debt and more financial stress. It makes your accounts go negative, which means the next time you get paid, you're even further behind. It's literally ridiculous. That was literally me and my husband 7 months ago. So I started digital affiliate marketing. I am now making almost 5 figures every single week.
If you watch my channel, you know exactly what I'm going to say, but this was a different approach. I'm just like everybody else in a whole bunch of credit card debt, paycheck to paycheck, barely surviving, until I magically found digital marketing and I'm making so much money. Add on top of it trying to shill TikTok products to you all the time. But oh man, it was so easy. Go to the link in my description and you could be just like me. And this is the kind of stuff you see. Beginner's Guide to Start Making Money. Get started on your digital journey that costs $596 to start for this course. Membership payment plans here. Get started with the digital world, $65. One-on-one mentorship, $200. One-on-one coaching, $75. One-on-one coaching for TikTok, another $75. And then just a ton of affiliate links with glasses, Amazon storefront, really everything that we've seen before. So the way to get out of the rat race and a bunch of credit card debt is to just spend a ludicrous amount of money on my courses so I could get rich. You can't really make this stuff up. I've gone over so many different examples on this channel. But another issue that I don't see talked about that much when we're looking at making money online, maybe it is through the TikTok shop and all of that kind of crap, or just really any other niche that you could think of. Many people have side hustles now just to make a little bit extra money, and we have a very extreme example here of somebody who didn't know that they had to put aside their own taxes.
So your girl owed $45,000 in taxes. And it's so funny because we see all these creators on here telling y'all to get products and do all this other stuff, but nobody really talk about like their taxes and stuff. And I know that I'm out here saying it to y'all, but I know a lot of women went through the same exact thing and is going through the same exact thing, but they're just not going to put it out here because they want to act like they knew how to run a business and had it all together. And I'm pretty sure they didn't, because TikTok money is unexpected and was unprecedented for a lot of us, like the wave in general.
And it's starting to look like the wave is over for many people, some getting kicked out of the creator fund for no reason, or the ad rates are just absolutely awful. But that's a topic for a different video. But maybe you do find some success making money online, and you can start paying off your debts and not living paycheck to paycheck. But unfortunately, lifestyle creep is a huge issue for so many people. And when tax season comes along, you could possibly be $45,000 in debt to the IRS and be back in the same situation you were before.
How do y'all have no debt? I need to know. There are days like today where I just want to go on a rant about debt. I have $40,000 worth of debt, and that does not include my student loans or my mortgage, because those are things that they get paid when, well, the mortgage gets paid all the time. Obviously, student loans, whenever they come back on, okay, whatever, I'll have to pay that. But I am talking about daily living expenses debt. How do you not have debt? Maybe you guys do and you're just not telling everybody, and that's perfectly fine. Do whatever is best for you. I don't normally tell people, but I've been sharing my recipes, and I'm doing a series on share my recipes to help pay down my debt, because how else am I going to do it? It's going to be a continuous cycle. Like, I'm not spending money on like getting my nails done, going buy new clothes, new shoes, new bags. No, I'm getting diapers. I'm getting wipes. I'm getting formula. I'm getting groceries, things that are a necessity for us to quite literally stay alive.
If I can't afford it on my debit card, it's not going on my credit card. The creator responds, I need to live by this motto. No kids, parents paid for college, dink income, and don't overspend. Well, I don't really ever hear about parents paying for college anymore, especially with the price of tuition, but that's a situation that some people would kill for. Stop using that credit card, list everything you spend, and cut what's not needed. But what amazes me is that when you look at statistics by income, it doesn't matter if you're considered lower or upper class, everybody has debt. Now, of course, I understand if people on the lower end had more debt because of how difficult it is to survive, but we could take a look at this example all the way up to almost $400,000 a year, and it doesn't matter. People have credit card debt all across the board.
Average credit card debt by income. This data was collected by the Federal Reserve as part of their survey of consumer finances, which was completed in 2023. To begin the list, at the lowest income percentile, a median annual salary of $20,540, 33.4% of these people have credit card debt with an average balance of $3,630. Moving on, median annual salary of $43,240, 46.4% of these people have credit card debt with an average balance of $3,840. Next, median annual salary of $70,260, 56.9% of these people, the highest in this list, have credit card debt with an average balance of $5,950. Next up, median annual salary in the six figures at $115,660. 54.4% of these people have credit card debt with an average balance of $7,440. Median annual salary of $189,160. 44.6% of these people still have credit card debt. I do not understand this. An average balance of $8,900. Finally, this is unbelievable. I have no idea why these people would still have credit card debt. But a median annual salary of $390,210, 25.4% of these people have credit card debt with an average balance of $11,000.
Okay, so this guy always cuts off his videos early. It's probably better for the watch time and the algorithm on TikTok, but the average credit card debt for $390,000 a year was still $11,210. Why would there be any debt at all at that point? It just shows again the lifestyle creep and how much people really enjoy spending. And we're going to finish off this video with an interesting example that I saw that definitely rolls into the last clip.
So I want to know, how are all the, poor people, the people with limited means, the people that don't have like any extra, people living paycheck to paycheck, how are you guys having fun? I feel like I used to be so much more fun in my 20s and my 30s, but I also had a lot more money in my 20s and 30s. I truly thought that by the time I was in my 50s, I would have more money and have more fun, but it's actually gone the complete opposite way. For all of you in your 20s and 30s, just enjoy it now, because when you get to this stage of life, it's like,
Okay, so I got a couple things to say about that along with the comment section. Lifestyle creep has been a huge issue for Gen Xers, which is what she said she was. Bigger house, new cars, new iPhones every couple years, vacations they can't afford, then the kids get a nice car at 16, private sports lessons, etc. Because that's exactly what it sounded like she was doing. In her 20s and 30s, she had a whole bunch of money, bad spending and finance habits, and now she's older and doesn't have nearly as much money as she thought she would. I personally thought it was odd trying to relate to the poor people and finding out what people do for fun with no money, because if you looked at the last clip or the one that's up on screen right now, she was right in front of a jacuzzi talking about having no money, and then the reflection on her sunglasses shows that she's in front of an in-ground pool. So this really does start to look like an absurd amount of spending, buying things that you couldn't really afford, and now you're in a bad spot, because the more that I looked at her page, it really did not connect with the clip that we watched. An image of her just being on the water, hashtag boat life, a lot of different clips of her doing activities that don't look free, along with her showing her journey getting some cosmetic surgery. So I just thought that this was an interesting case showing what looks to be like much more spending than you probably should have done, and now you're a bit older and not as comfortable as you thought you'd be, but then trying to relate while people are legitimately struggling, sitting in the jacuzzi or in front of the in-ground pool, I just thought was wild. But let's start off with a very interesting debt breakdown.
We're going to tell you how many dollars we owe at 23 years old. We owe $40,204.70 on my dues.
So $20,159.74 on my truck.
He had a career change years ago. We owe $4,013.04 from a loan that we took to transition. We owe $58.11 on my Capital One card. I just forget I have that actually. I used to have a boutique and I did inspired stuff. That went really bad. China did me really dirty. So we owe $4,771.95 from refunds I had to send. That comes out to a grand total of $32,207.54.
Okay, so right off the bat, the $58 in Capital One credit card debt, which is much smaller than anything on this list. I think it should just be paid off in full, even though I guess she just ended up forgetting about that credit card. But the boutique she had with the inspired items, I think is particularly interesting. It kind of sounds like to me she was getting AliExpress or Temu level quality crap and trying to mark up the prices very heavily at her own business. Or another thing that I've come to find out online, when people have inspired clothing or shoes, really any sort of item, that's just another way to say that they're fake, they're counterfeit. So I don't know if that was the case. Instead of buying some AliExpress stuff and trying to resell it, maybe she was trying to get away with selling counterfeit items and got almost $5,000 worth of refunds because of that. Very odd way to start off this video, but we have a screenshot here. Tell me how much debt you're in so I'll feel better about how much I'm in. With the first comment not being a great start. If you're not in debt, you're not living. $100,000 in vehicles, $220,000 on the house, and about $25,000 on credit cards. The creator responded to that saying that's not that bad. $100,000 in debt from vehicles alone, on top of the $25,000 in credit cards. I know people think about mortgage debt much differently than the vehicle loans or the credit cards, but still, how is that not bad? Debt that stresses me out, $42,000. Overall, $90,000. One that just says $400,000 even, $52,000 in student loans, a $572,000 mortgage. That's a pretty expensive house. But we could go over to another clip showing a breakdown of what this person is buying almost every day and just chipping away at their finances.
All right, who's ready to see my unhinged credit card transactions for the last month? This will kind of give you an idea of why I'm in debt. Since it is August 21st, we are going back to July 21st to look at the transactions from then. So we have Barnes & Noble, Chick-fil-A, Albertsons, which is a grocery store, McDonald's, healthcare copay, another grocery trip, Domino's. I wish I could tell you why we spent $40.99 on Domino's of all places. It's a really cheap place to get pizza. No clue. It's just me and my husband, nobody else. Moving on. Next up, we're looking at Wendy's. We got a drive-in movie theater, the tickets and the snacks. We have Pizza Hut, DoorDash, and Chipotle. Seeing a theme here? Also, holy crap, $54.40 at Pizza Hut. Actually, Pizza Hut's kind of expensive sometimes, so I totally get it. Good Lord, we're not even in August yet.
I'm cutting off this clip here. There is 4 more minutes of this video. The amount of fast food and grocery trips along with random little items chipping away every single day looks insane to me. This is a pretty extreme example compared to other people, but still, maybe a $10, $15, or $25 purchase on Amazon isn't going to break your bank. But if you start doing that very consistently and not noticing the money racking up, this kind of spending can hurt you in the long run. We have a set of screenshots here how I got into 25,000 pounds worth of debt, consistently eating out when there was no budget, very similar to the last clip. Ever since moving into my own home, I buy rubbish. B&M is my downfall. I can't help myself. I'm not exactly sure what that store is, but it kind of sounds like TJ Maxx and Home Goods, Marshalls, all of that, because the next slide is a lot of those random trinkets, especially holiday themed. Working is another downfall. I never take packed lunches, always meal deals. Starbucks treats, 5+ pounds every couple of days, racks up, that's what I just said. Spontaneous trips away because we can, on whose money? And another one of my downfalls, Klarna and BNPL loans. I use them all the time and it's a never-ending cycle. That's probably how they're going on spontaneous trips as well. Once I'd maxed out one credit card, I would just get another. Oh man, it's a vicious cycle of balance transfers, loans to consolidate debt, and then spending again. And I know some people are doing exactly this just to be able to survive right now, but constantly going out to eat, spontaneous trips, constantly redecorating your house every time a holiday is coming up is just absolutely destroying people's finances, and we've seen examples since I started making videos on this channel.
What did I spend my money on to be so much in debt? A lot of people have asked me this question, so I'm going to answer it now. Predominantly, most of my money went on gambling. And it's not like the bookies gambling. I spent a lot of money in a game that I used to play. I'm not going to discuss what game it was. But yeah, I spent a lot of money playing a game. I also spent a lot of money on like the in-app bingo slots. That went on for literally years, probably 5 years. Until I maxed out one of my credit cards basically. So that's when I had to use my other credit card to pay off the one I maxed out, which then started this big spiral.
I mean, this was a different way to max out her credit cards, but a very similar situation compared to the last example. This one, however, she is a picture-perfect example of what they call a whale in the gaming industry. Those in-app purchases that are, again, a few dollars, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks maybe, just add up so quickly, and with gambling on top of it, bingo, all the money that you put in could disappear almost instantly just because you're playing those types of games. This happens with so many apps and games across the board now. It doesn't just have to be gambling. Most of them are called gacha games, but it does become a vicious cycle and very addicting, so much so that you're maxing out credit cards like this person. But keeping on the topic of addictions, we have yet another one right here.
I went into $7,000 of credit card debt because of food addiction. Let's talk about it. When I was living down in Florida, I owned my own home and I rented out 2 of the bedrooms. Because my renters were obviously paying me, I was able to use that money to cover my Wi-Fi, my electric, my water, and my lot rent. In addition to that income, I was also working as a front desk receptionist at a nursing home. Now, in hindsight, I should have taken my extra money and put it into savings, but obviously, like any other addiction, food consumed all of my thoughts and all of my money. I opened up a credit card with a $5,000 limit and made the monthly payments of $40 a month. In addition to that, I had a second credit card with a $2,000 limit, and I believe the monthly payment on that was about $35 a month. Now don't get me wrong, I always kept up with all of my payments because I did not want to mess up my credit score. However, during that time, I was living above my means, and eating out for almost every single meal.
Okay, so that did confuse me a little bit. $7,000 maxed out 2 cards that she was paying the minimum payments on both of them, which means the interest is accruing every single day, making the whole situation worse. But she thought that everything was okay. She was making on-time minimum payments, not paying it off in full, and her credit would be completely fine. But even having a job and people living in her house paying her rent couldn't offset the $7,000 worth of food. That is a crazy amount of money to spend eating out every day.
So when I was in network marketing, I had over 70K of credit card debt. Yikes. But let me tell you what got me to that point of 70K in debt. There was a point where I was making like 20 to 30K a month. And then all of a sudden that started dropping to like 5K a month. But my spending habits remained the same. And I remember talking to like one of my uplines and she was like, you gotta spend money to make money. And I took that so to heart and I spent money and enough to get me into 70K of debt. How unhinged was I?
Yet another example we've seen of lifestyle creep, along with the kind of guru mindset. If you've seen a lot of these motivational money guys online, you got to spend money to make money, blah, blah, blah. Go put a down payment on a Lamborghini you can't afford, so it forces you to work harder, all of that kind of crap. On top of her salary not being consistent, thinking that you're going to make $20,000 or $30,000 a month forever, and then just a few months later, it's a fraction of what it was, but you're still spending like you're making $250,000 a year. One of the comments here, in a 4-year span, I spent almost $30,000 because if I just kept going, I would make it back. I finally had to say this is enough and walked away. Now we could get into the vacation portion of this video and how much debt people get in to be able to travel and get away from all their problems. But as soon as they come back home, their situation's even worse.
My red flag is that I will be crying, having a panic attack over money, and 2 minutes later, I will be planning a new vacation.
Same, I was looking at Alaskan cruises today. My mental health quite literally depends on having a vacation to look forward to in some capacity. I don't care how much money I have, LMAO. Does not sound like a life that I'd want to live. Me drowning financially, just looked up flights to NYC, and somehow I rationalized that I could make it work. I mean, there are hundreds of comments like this. But we could take a look at a clip with the consequences of thinking this way.
I'm going to start a series talking about some of the most impulsive purchases that we have made that led to $89,000 in credit card debt. My husband used to travel a lot for work. There was one time that our schedules were finally going to line up. He was able to take a week off of work and I had a break from school and we wanted to go on a vacation. Mind you, we had no money to go on a vacation. We started looking at all kinds of different options, and the one that we ended up landing on was to go to Disneyland. Again, we did not have the money to do this, so what did we do? We applied for a new credit card because the ones that we had at the time were already maxed out. So we applied for a new credit card, got approved. I think that it was like $5,000, I really can't remember, but we got approved and we planned the whole Disney vacation on that credit card. Maxed it out. Here we are 10 years later, still paying for it.
I just recently made a dedicated video talking about Disney vacation debt that I could honestly turn into a series because of how many examples I've seen online. They still decide to go even though they don't have any money, just take out another credit card, put thousands on that. And literally 10 years later, you're still trying to pay it off. That does not seem worth it to me. People that use credit cards without a plan to pay it off ASAP is wild to me. Adults going to Disneyland is wild. Applying for a credit card for Disneyland is wild. Everything's wild in this comments section. I'm relieved I'm not the only impulsive queen out there. 10 years of paying off that debt for one single vacation. Another video up on screen right now, little travel hack that I've learned. You could spend a lot of money on credit cards, but you only need to pay back a very small minimum per month. Literally almost spent $30,000 this month already, and I only need to pay back $80 for this month. So this kind of sounds like the earlier example of the person thinking that they were making on-time payments with $7,000 in credit card debt because they were paying the minimum payments, but the interest is accruing every single day, 20 to 30% as well. And that's how $7,000 could turn into $15,000, $20,000 and a decade to pay off. At least in this example, much longer. Ah yes, only a short 27 years to pay that off. Wait, so are they wrong or not? People genuinely don't know. Others think credit cards are legitimately free money, as if somebody else would just pay for your expenses for no reason. I know it sounds ridiculous to most people, but some just don't have any financial literacy at all. It's not like they're doing it on purpose to destroy their lives. They just never learned any of this ever. Another clip up on screen from a wannabe influencer. When none of my Italy content has gone viral, so the credit card debt that I thought the creator fund would pay for is just actually debt. So now we got people banking on their content paying for their lifestyle before they're even influencers or have seen really any of that type of money come in whatsoever. And now you're just stuck with a whole bunch of credit card debt. Here we have a set of screenshots rating different ways I put myself into credit card debt. Our wedding day, about $6,000 in debt. I wish we saved up the money instead, but marrying my husband was the best day of my life. And even though, of course, $6,000 is a lot of money, we've gone over people in $60,000, $100,000 for their wedding debt. So in comparison, this isn't really that bad. Of course, the better choice would have been to not be in debt whatsoever because of this, but we can move on to the next one. This camper that I put on a Chase credit card for $2,500. We sold it last summer for $1,700. I don't even want to know how much I spent in interest on this thing. It would probably be pretty rough, but a trip to Disney in 2021. I booked it for my husband's 30th. Our options were limited because we didn't have a passport, and she rated it 1 out of 10. A closet full of clothes I never wear. -5 out of 10. Wasteful, stupid, and not worth the money spent on interest. Clothes are particularly odd to me, at least in my experience with the trends, and I always seem to wreck or get stains, rips, tears on any of my clothing pretty consistently, so there is no need for me to spend a lot of money on really anything that I wear because I know it's going to get wrecked. Now we have a comment from one of you guys from my previous credit card debt video. My sister has declared bankruptcy 4 times, my brother twice. So we have a little update from an older video we watched of somebody who got into a whole bunch of debt, declared bankruptcy, and is now back into that same type of debt.
Hi, I'm Emily. I filed bankruptcy 5.5 years ago and I'm in $95,000 worth of debt. A lot of people are going to hate on me. Oh, you filed bankruptcy and then you got yourself back into this position. Yes, it was very easy. The amount of credit card offers after we filed was insane. And we got them so that we could better our credit. And anyway, we like to eat out a lot. We are on day 8 of not eating out. I made Alfredo for dinner. It's sad that it took this long for me to finally discover that we have an eating out problem. I've always known that we have, and the amount, I mean, it's probably $200 to $400 a week at minimum of just eating out. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I can't be alone. I know there's got to be somebody out there that eats out a lot.
Okay, so I guess we have a theme for this credit card debt video. Everybody's going out to eat, spending a crazy amount of money, $400 a week. And you just had to know in the back of your mind that this was a poor choice, declaring bankruptcy previously and just racking up the debt one after another right after it happened. Some of the comments, $95,000 in debt. Is this in cars or something else or just straight credit card debt? I believe in the last clip they bought at least one car, maybe it was 2 vehicles, so it is a good amount of debt there. But if you're hitting the restaurants and spending $400 a week, that's going to rack up very quickly. If you watch Caleb Hammer, he'll always say that if you file bankruptcy without fixing the problem, you'll end up in the same spot. That's the exact reason why I don't like when people say they'll just file for bankruptcy. They hit the reset button. If you don't learn anything and you act like you just got away with it all, you're just going to get yourself into the exact same position again. Another comment from you guys, I don't even know how you could get into that kind of debt twice. Here in Germany, once you went bankrupt at least once, you'll never get another credit card, car rental, or even a non-prepaid carrier contract for at least the next 10 years. And that is a stark contrast compared to the last clip saying that she was getting credit cards in the mail almost instantly after filing for bankruptcy. These credit card companies do not care. We'll talk about them a little bit later. If they could get you back on the spending habit with their card right after you went bankrupt, that's just an easy way for them to start collecting interest payments on somebody who has a problem. But we could take a look at a couple clips with people believing that credit cards are just free money.
You use Apple Pay, honestly, just be so careful. This is a little embarrassing to admit, but if this could help one person, then I'm really
willing to share what my experience was. I'm just gonna lay it out like this. When you use Apple Pay, that's real money.
The comments section is great. She thought that Apple Pay meant Apple Pays. Apple Pay isn't just apples. Almost 200,000 likes on that comment alone. A ton of reaction images as well, and even if you think that this was bait just for engagement, there are legitimately a ton of people that think that this is actually the case.
Your life is bad, and you have $45,000 of debt.
Why would they give me credit cards if they don't want me to use them? They give me access to free money.
Why would they want you to use them? Put yourself in their shoes.
Because they want me to use it to spend money.
No, but why? Why would they want to?
So they make money.
There you go. They're making money, which means you're losing money.
But I'm still getting my purchases at the end of the day.
You are getting your purchases, and if that's all that matters to you, then go f up your life. That's okay. That is your choice.
It's not that up.
You can live whatever life you want to live. I will accept it. I'm willing to help those that want to be helped. Do you want to be helped? Do you want the budget? Do you want the chance for a better life?
Yeah.
There's honestly just some people you can't help. Some of the comments here, keep in mind that that girl works at a bank. Are you kidding me? Caleb just looks defeated for a second there. I know that watching these types of videos, whether it's the TikToks or YouTube videos, has helped people I've seen in the comment section, but I don't know, some people are truly just a lost cause.
Right now, credit scores are falling at the fastest pace since the Great Recession. The latest national average FICO score dropped 2 points this year, and that is the most since 2009. FICO also found that more and more borrowers are also falling behind on both their car and their personal loans, along with their credit cards. Younger Americans, unfortunately, getting hit with a double whammy. They are facing high student debt and low entry-level hiring.
Now, all of these issues are compounding on each other, and if you're one of the people facing these problems, you start looking it up online, and because of that, you're going to start getting targeted ads on sponsored posts, TikTok, really any social media site. While looking up clips for this video, I started getting hounded by this particular company. Simple Lending, I've never heard of them before, but we have a clip up on screen right now. POV, I was so deep in credit card debt that I had only $52 left in my account, and the debt was piling up. I really don't know what to do. Then I found Simple Lending and I was saved, right? Then a whole bunch of text, interest rates starting at just 5.9%. Starting, that's not going to be the case for you. Borrow up to $100,000. We'll just move right over to the comment section. Just got approved, $275, 55% APR for 467 months. Yeah, and what's the payment? 21% interest? That's worse than a credit card. It's a loan. These are basically payday loans. And the more you look this up, the more these posts are going to start showing up. POV, when you know you have terrible credit and you try to use Simple Lending to apply for an $800,000+ loan? No credit check, low interest rates, yeah, sure. Funds in 24 to 48 hours. They did a credit check and didn't approve me. Didn't approve me. Right, I got a $6 billion loan. Don't do it. So this is how they start roping people in who don't know that this is a payday loan, basically. And yeah, maybe you will get approved for a few $1,000s and you could pay off that credit card debt. But even that high interest sitting at 20 or 30% is a lot better than the previous comment at 55% APR. And that's how your situation gets a whole lot worse. These payday loan places, credit card companies do not care about you. We have a comment from one of you guys. I was canceling a credit card. The guy on the phone wouldn't let up trying to get me to keep it. I told him I was going on a 20-month Christian mission to Borneo would be off-grid. He had no comeback. Card canceled. That was from a previous example that we've seen of somebody saying the wildest story they could think of to one of these credit card companies when they were trying to cancel, because they'll just keep saying over and over, trying to sell you deal after deal just to keep the card. But if you start sounding insane to them on the phone, they'll end up canceling it and you won't have to deal with it anymore. But in this next clip, you can really see how these credit card companies think about you.
You might be a credit card deadbeat and not even realize, but that's actually a good thing. A credit card deadbeat is someone who pays off their credit card balances in full each month, avoiding any interest charges or fees. If you're thinking that sounds like the opposite of a deadbeat, you'd be right, but not if you ask the credit card companies. This healthy financial habit is way less profitable for issuers that earn billions on late fees and missed payments.
So if you're not consistently bleeding money on interest payments, these companies are going to call you a deadbeat. They're not here to help you like it seemed with these simple lending ads. All they want is to be able to take as much money from you as humanly possible. But we could go over to another set of screenshots. Everyone's telling me that I make bad financial choices. Bachelor's by 21, $35,000 worth of debt. Masters adding on yet another $25,000. Furnished my apartment $10,000 in credit card debt. A dream car at 22, another $20,000 worth of debt, a Kia. In total sitting at $90,000. Dream car and Kia can't be in the same sentence. It's okay, bestie, I'm $400,000 in debt at 19. Zero in assets and nothing to show for it. Now work 60 years and make those payments and never invest. More debt, instant gratification. But mom, I want it now. I know that this is supposed to be a funny comment, but this is legitimately how some people think now. But staying on the topic of buying your dream car, especially when you're young, this kind of stuff could really hurt your possible choices in the future.
So I'm talking to this guy who has a $1,200 car payment, who wants to buy a house. And I think his parents really did a disservice to him. They really messed him up. He explains to me that he's thinking about buying a house and can I go over the numbers with him? And I'm like, yeah. And we start discussing his situation. And we talk about his credit, and he explains he has pretty good credit, but he does have this really large car payment. I was like, how much is the payment? He's like, it's $1,200. I'm like, okay. Next we go on to his income, and now he's telling me his income is about $50,000 a year. So I'm thinking to myself, this is a massive payment for his income. And I was like, did you have any problems getting that car loan? Did you just go in there and they gave it to you, no problem? He goes, no, I had a lot of issues getting the car loan. In fact, in order to actually get the loan, I had to get my parents to co-sign for me, and then I got it no problem. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, would I co-sign for my kid to get a $1,200 car loan that made $50,000 a year? I don't think I would.
But I can almost guarantee it's the same situation as the last example. It was my dream car. Oh, I absolutely need it. And within just a few years, a new model or a facelift version will come out, and maybe it's more horsepower, looks nicer, and then that becomes the dream car. The one that you're currently paying $1,200 a month for, you don't want anymore. Another interesting part in the video was talked about in the comments section. How do you buy a house these days making $50,000 a year? That's definitely becoming more and more difficult now. He's driving his mortgage payment. After taxes, he's making $39,000. $14,400 for car payments, not including insurance as well. He'd have about $2,000 left a month. Can't buy anything. He'd still have other bills to pay, of course, food, groceries, the utility bills that would go on top of the mortgage. There's no way they'd be able to afford it.
Take this as your sign, especially if you are like young as don't get that credit card. So I'm currently dealing with a lawsuit, partake on myself, but I recently got into the National Debt Relief Program, and I've been doing that, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. But this is your sign. Don't get that credit card, bro. Don't get it. You don't need it. Just make your money and use your day-to-day money. You don't need that credit card. I do not need this credit card. Yes, it did pay for a little bit of my school and then my like school kit thing that I had to buy, but other than that, it's just been collecting interest. I haven't been able to pay because I've been unemployed, and now that I am employed, I decided to get on this national debt relief thing. But yeah, don't get that credit card, bro. You don't need it.
And it also sounded like she was getting sued by the credit card company. That has become more common recently as well. Of course, if you've racked up tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt, these credit card companies are going to want their money back. But we've seen examples of them suing people for as little as like $400 or $800. It almost seems petty to me for how much money they actually make as a corporation, but that doesn't take away the fact that you're currently getting sued because of your debt, and you're going to have to go through all of that mess. This happened to me when I was 18 and COVID began. My credit tanked for years afterwards. But we'll finish off this video with a little bit of de-influencing.
Okay, these are things that I normalized during debt and like when I was accumulating debt and racking up my debt that now that I'm not in that like headspace anymore, these are things that like I realize now are not normal and you should not do. And this one deserves its whole own video because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, but it is like every month when I was in debt, or I'm still in debt, but like every month when I wasn't serious about paying it off, I would pretend I was serious and like get out a spreadsheet or like make a little write down all my debts and like the monthly payments and like how much money each month and like when they were due, and like I was like, okay, I'm gonna do all this and this is my plan, and then I would not stick to that plan. The plan would go out the window. And then in a month, I'd be like, oh my God, what happened last month? Like, oh, you didn't do anything. You didn't stick to this plan that you wrote out. And then the cycle would continue. I would make a new plan. The debt snowball and like all the shit. Like, I would not stick to the plan whatsoever. The plan was purely for me to feel better about it at the moment and not actually do anything.
So I think this happens sometimes while posting videos on TikTok talking about your debt. Maybe somebody has $10,000 worth of debt, and then you go to the comment section and there's a whole bunch of people saying, that's nothing. I got $50, $100, $200,000 worth of debt. And then you start thinking to yourself that, yeah, you know what? $10,000 worth of debt isn't that bad. You start losing the motivation, and then it gets a little bit worse each month. So sticking to this type of plan of budgeting and having discipline is extremely important trying to pay off your debt.
If you're in your 20s and you keep consistently seeing people and you like, oh my God, how are they doing all this? How are they affording all of this? Blah, blah, blah. And you're really confused and you're trying to figure it out, is really one of two, maybe even three options. The first option is credit card debt. Maybe they swiping them cards. They swiping that card. They probably have $30,000 right now in credit card debt. But they're in Bora Bora, absolutely. The second is rich parents. Don't ever underestimate the power of a rich parent. The third is they might be scamming. They might, small might. And then the fourth, absolute and final, is that they're really just getting to the money. But that's very low on the totem pole. It's probably credit card debt.
And this isn't much of a surprise like the other videos that I've made with doom spending, people just swiping their card, buying anything that they somewhat like. They don't even care about the future anymore, any of the buy now, pay it later, which you see is the top comment on this video. It's Klarna and Afterpay, almost 100,000 likes. That's how popular these companies have become. You know, pay 4 easy installments or 6 easy installments, and then it makes it look like, oh, it's much cheaper than it actually is, but then people just don't end up paying the installments, and then the interest rate gets out of control, and then people just never end up paying it back. My friend is $96,000 in credit card debt. I didn't even know that was possible. I think having almost $100,000 in a credit line is impressive, let alone spending all of it and not paying any of it back. But as long as people keep getting likes on their Instagram post or views on their YouTube videos, they're just gonna keep swiping and keep going more and more into debt just to get that little dopamine hit every time they post something online. We have a comment from one of you guys in my older videos, Gen X here, and it seems to me like Gen Z people will happily go into debt for vacations just so they could post online about their awesome life they're living. Wake up, kids. And that's been something that's already been in the news. There are tons of people still paying off their debts for last year's vacation that they put on all of their credit cards, and they're still going on vacation this summer. I don't know. I guess everybody's plan is to just file for bankruptcy, and then the next like 5 to 7 years of their life, they're just going to be chilling at their parents' house or something along the lines of that. I just don't know what the plan is, honestly. But for the next few videos, we're actually going to be talking about some addictions, because that will definitely add into the difficulties of getting into debt. The most well-known one will actually be shopping addiction, how easy it is to go buy something online now. You got your phone in your hand or your pocket, you have a computer right in front of you. You don't even have to go to the mall anymore. You don't have to drive 5-10 minutes away to the store. You could just click a couple buttons, and within a couple days it'll be in your front doorstep, and don't even have to pay full price. You have the Afterpay and the Klarna, so it's installments. It's not really that bad. And I think the symbolism in this short clip is pretty funny with some of the amount of money people will spend on their credit cards.
I have such a shopping addiction, then this is how I'm cutting myself off. Even my card doesn't want me to stop it. Come on, come on.
And that's not even enough for people. We have the comment section. Good thing I have my cards memorized. Me memorizing all my card numbers because I type it so often. I mean, that's not particularly a good thing. But again, it is the internet. People will always make jokes about more serious topics, and there's nothing you can really do.
I always get questions as to why I have so much credit card debt. This is it. I'm spring cleaning my apartment and I did something incredibly stupid. I must be a masochistic little idiot because I realized that I am literally the woman who lived in her shoes. I counted and there are 60 pairs. It takes up literally the entire area space of my bedroom floor. And for reference, this is about 6 feet right here. This area, it's like 6 feet across. So if you ever wondered why my savings account is basically empty and I have 5 figures of credit card debt, this is it right here. So this is what 60 pairs of shoes look like. And shamefully, I think only like 5 of these pairs are under $300. Okay, let's say under 200. That one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Those are the only pairs that are under $200. Oh, and then my Birkenstocks back there too. Oh, and my Bass loafers right there. But everything else is over $200. Most of them are over $500.
Okay, so I guess I could kind of relate to somewhat of this person. I mean, I never went into debt for any of my shoes, but I've talked about it a couple times. During COVID, I was a full-time sneaker reseller, and a lot of money was coming in. I mean, it was like the peak of the sneaker market, so I ended up buying some shoes that I liked, and they were very expensive. At one point, I think I had over 30 pairs of shoes, and I wore all of them. It's not like, oh, I had them all dead stock like they were like pieces of art or whatever. People like stack them up on the wall just for like displays or whatever. I actually wore them. But after getting like more than 30 pairs, I realized that I'd only be able to wear each one of these shoes 12 times a year. And then I started realizing how dumb it was. And luckily I didn't really lose money because of how much the value of these shoes were worth, but it was still really dumb because I bet a whole bunch of people would say that's ridiculous how expensive her shoes were, $200, $500, and mine were even worse. Just look at some of the prices of hype beast shoes now. Even with the market being on a heavy downturn, they are very, very expensive. It's a very dumb way to spend your money. I could have been able to reinvest a lot of money into making even more instead of just basically collecting a whole bunch of Nike and Adidas shoes. Now this next video is just going to be a very short clip because this is a different form of addiction, but could definitely start bringing you some credit card debt if you're in a similar situation to this woman.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm in $9,999 of credit card debt. Here's what I ate today. For the record, to clear up any confusion, I have a grocery budget and an alcohol budget. It's not one or the other. Anyway.
When I heard that, that was just completely alien to me. And I would say to even a lot of people, if you have a separation between grocery budget and alcohol budget, you most likely have a problem. The comment section said exactly that. Alcohol budget is extremely early stages of alcoholism. I wouldn't even say extremely early. That is not a good sign already. An alcohol budget is crazy. So I mean, it's not just the shopping addiction and swiping your credit card a whole bunch of times online. Having other addictions will clearly cost a solid amount of money. It's not like alcohol is free, and if you're at a point where you have separate budgets for your food and alcohol, that probably means you're spending a good amount of money on it, and you most likely have a problem. Here we have another issue that I guess isn't exactly a shopping addiction, but is definitely more of a thing now in my generation, and I just think is really dumb. It's just another excuse to spend a whole bunch of money putting yourself into credit card debt.
I don't think that it's worth living to just pay a credit card. I should be able to do a little stuff here and there.
Do you think the only reason you're living is to pay off the credit card? I want you to attack it now, so by the time you're 35, you never have to pay a credit card again. So you around for a month because, ooh, it's my birthday month. Woo! You're extending this situation for years and years to come. You're preventing yourself from getting out of it. You're preventing yourself from ever having enough saved up for retirement so that you can survive, so you're not working in your 80s in order to afford rent because you never saved up enough money to put a down payment on a house. And who knows what Social Security is going to be like when we retire. We can't rely on that. People can barely rely on it now.
So I mean, the birthday week, the birthday month type of stuff is just another excuse to be able to go on vacations. And I don't know, everybody just has to be even more over the top now, even extra. Not just your birthday, you know, you have a cake and maybe you go out or something, right? Now it's got to be a whole weekend. It's got to be a whole week, apparently a whole month now. And then a lot of people will make the excuse that, you know, I'm just trying to live life. I'm not just supposed to be paying off a credit card like she said, even though she was almost $30,000 in credit card debt, and that's basically all her own doing. But this is more common than you would think. We have another comment from one of you guys. I have a 23-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. When I explain financial things or budgeting, they don't understand. Their faces go blank. Unfortunately, if you don't have an interest yourself and start looking stuff up online, whether it be YouTube videos or just, financial news and learning things on your own, you're just not taught this. I was not taught this at all in high school. And all the classes that I had for community college weren't any finance. I wasn't a business or finance major, so none of that stuff applied to me. I didn't have to learn any of that. I just personally wanted to start making more money and working for myself. And that kind of means you have to end up learning all of this stuff. And that's exactly what I did through YouTube tutorials and looking stuff up online, but you actively have to be interested in it. It's not just taught to you like math or English or history, like the normal stuff you'd hear about in high school. Because now the next few videos are going to be some very interesting things that people didn't really know about finances or credit cards or banks, and it makes it easier for these companies to make money off of you just because you didn't know what was coming.
This is a real conversation that I had with one of my friends when I was in university about her credit card, and I still think about this once a week. I have to pay off my credit card. It's like $700 this month. That sucks. What do you mean your credit card bill is $700? Like I just bought all my textbooks and stuff, so I have to pay off my credit card. Like it's $700. My credit card bill has never been over $10. What? Yeah, like you only have to pay the $10. What do you mean it's only 10? What do you mean you're only paying $10? Like, every month you get the bill and you only have to pay $10. It doesn't matter how much you put on. It's literally you just have to pay the $10. How long have you had this credit card for? Since first year? We were in our third year university. Do people not know that? People of TikTok, people of the internet, just know, like, please, just pay in full.
I mean, this seems like pretty basic knowledge on any sort of credit card or finances in general, but I mean, some people just don't know it, and these companies will prey upon that, and because some people believe that, I guess they just get free money from the credit cards, and they pay their absolute minimum payments as interest just keeps accruing and making it worse and worse, and some people just have absolutely no knowledge. You should have to pass a brief quiz before receiving a credit card, and that's exactly what credit card companies don't want, because then they won't make as much money. They want all the people who are the dumbest, that have no idea what could happen to them, using the credit card irresponsibly, and that's how they make most of their money. You'd be surprised how common this is. People think it's free money. I feel like my parents and teachers instilled in me a deep fear of credit card debt, which is way better than I would say most of the population has ever gotten. I mean, the reply from the creator, I learned nothing about this in school. They need to teach this. Same thing with me. So that person was lucky. Apparently, they did have some teachers telling them the danger. This is literally a family with generational debt. I don't understand it because it's not like she's not making any money. She's a nurse. And I'm not saying that she's a millionaire, but she just will rather go to a different school instead of actually paying the bill for these courses, and I guess she thinks that it'll just disappear and then, oh, you just don't have to pay it, it's fine, I'll get my degree somewhere else, and do that over and over again when she's not even broke. It's not like a last resort. She's working a part-time or full-time job as like a cashier making no money. It's still a solid amount of money, but as she said, her dad is basically the same way, so she's never been taught to literally not do what she's doing right now. And the comments were not very nice. The lights are on, but nobody's home. She's infuriating and has zero interest in fixing the mess she made. If you have a full ride, use that to do all your core classes before you transfer. And yeah, I didn't even talk about that. She at least got some money from the college. It's not like she went in having to pay for absolutely everything, and she's too stubborn to help. And I mean, I could kind of agree with that. She's kind of just laughing, and again, not taking it seriously, and there's no real plan for people like this. We have another comment from you guys that I thought was just very simple but very funny. I have a friend that uses Afterpay for GrubHub. So I've personally never used any of the DoorDash or GrubHub or whatever. I know that the fees get out of hand, and I bet there's coupons and whatever, but if I'm going to go out to eat, which isn't super common, I'll just go to Chipotle or something like that, or a restaurant. But having to do payment installments to get like some Chick-fil-A sandwich or I don't know, like a Baconator from Wendy's sounds absolutely wild to me.
I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but if you are currently putting the majority of your paycheck into a high yield savings account because some financial guru on TikTok told you to do it, and now you can't pay off your high interest credit card debt because you've done that, you're not winning. You are most likely losing between 10 and 20% of every single paycheck just on that interest. Always pay down your high interest credit card debt before doing anything else with your money. And I don't know about you, but I like having my money work for me, not for one of the major credit card companies.
So again, to me, this sounds like absolute basic information, but as we've seen in previous videos, when there was somebody on Caleb Hammer's show where he was obsessed with getting 5% cash back on his credit cards, he kept saying it over and over again, like, look, I get 5% cash back over and over. But he wasn't paying any of the credit card down at all. So the interest was like around 20%. So that extra 5% he was getting back was still a loss overall, but some people just can't get that through their heads. And this is another similar one. I mean, the high yield savings account, most of them are around 4 to 5% right now, so it's in that realm. So people will put all their money into that, which isn't a bad idea. That's exactly what I do too. But if you also have credit card debt at the same time, you're still going to be losing more money than you're making.
Did you know you can go to an ATM and insert your credit card and take out cash? Yeah, here's why you should never do that. Someone in my life, and I'm not going to say who, found this out the hard way. They were having to pay rent in cash, and they thought, oh my gosh, like, instead of going to an ATM and using my debit card, I'll use my credit card because then I get all these points and then I'll just pay it off at the end of the month. Win-win. And they'd been doing that for a little while and weren't watching their credit card statements closely. And then all of a sudden they're like, why am I getting such high interest charges? This is weird. I'm paying my credit card off every month. When you buy something with a credit card, you don't pay any interest unless you don't pay off your credit card whenever your bill is due. But with a cash advance, when you've taken money out, like actual cash out from your credit card, that interest starts adding up every single day, and it is huge. The only time I think this actually makes sense to do would be like a literal emergency, like you're trapped in a foreign country, you have no friends or family, and you need $10 out to pay a cab driver or else, and nothing else is working. None of your cards are working. Maybe, but if you're tempted to use a cash advance in everyday life, definitely go into the bank and see what other options you have, either a personal loan or a line of credit. Those are such better options.
Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know you could do that at ATMs. I thought ATMs were strictly debit cards, and even that isn't really the best deal unless you have the exact debit card that the ATM is like from, you know, like a Wells Fargo or TD Bank or Citibank or whatever. You also get a fee on top of it, so you're still losing money. But I just thought credit cards did not work at all. And I'm very glad that I've never done it, because this is another one of the sneaky tactics that, if you didn't know, from a lot of these companies, you could even be completely fine in paying off your debt at the end of every month, you know, not carrying a balance over. But if you do that cash advance, you immediately start losing money from the interest right away. You don't even have to wait to the end of the month. So just another way for these credit card companies to make a little extra money on you. And this isn't even for somebody who's unbelievably irresponsible, and they could still get you on some solid interest payments.
Okay, I wanted to answer this question about how I got into $15,000 worth of credit card debt because I've been getting it a lot. I feel like some people are going to be like, this is basic knowledge, but to me, it wasn't basic knowledge, which is why I wish someone drilled this into my brain and I actually listened. The first is I had zero financial literacy at all. My family never talked about money. I come from a super poor single mom family and money just wasn't ever talked about because we had none of it. And I never took any classes in high school that taught you about finances. I don't even know if there were any. The next is that I always considered my available credit as money that I could spend or money that I had. I distinctly remember buying like a laptop and furniture because I was like, oh, I don't have the money on my debit card, but I have it on my credit card so I can spend it. Which looking back is ridiculous, but back then it felt like free money. I always only paid the minimum payments on my credit cards. Whether it was like $100 or $25, I was like, okay, as long as I do that, I'm fine. When it really clicked for me was when my financial advisor told me that if I continued paying $150 on each card, it would take me 9 years and $17,000 worth of pure interest to pay it off. It would cost me $17,000. But if I increased my payments to $350 and $450, it would take me 1 year and it would only cost me $3,000 in interest, which is so much of a difference. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to get my shit together. Another is that I always increased my credit card limits when I was offered it, which is basically just a big trick because they know you're gonna fuck up. So I'd increase the limit, spend all the way up until that new limit, and then I just maxed out more money. And the last one is I just swiped carelessly. I never cared what I spent it on. I just always spent money on it because to me, it was just money that I had, even though it was not money I had. I can't believe I'm even admitting this stuff because looking back, it feels so dumb. Even to my financial advisor, I was so embarrassed to tell him this. And I'm absolutely certain that some of the reactions I'm going to get are not going to be kind, but I think there needs to be way more financial transparency around people who don't know shit about money like me. I'm 25 years old, I work a corporate job, and I'm working on paying down my debt. I've got the $15,000 down to $11,000, and I'm working really hard on getting it down to zero.
And I would venture to guess that there's a lot of people who haven't even gotten to her position yet. They're still just frivolously spending, believing all the things that she did, increasing credit lines and then immediately maxing it out and not realizing all the consequences for it. I mean, it would have taken her almost a decade to pay it off and almost $20,000 they would have given to the credit card company just from swiping over and over again and not thinking about it. So at least she knows what she's doing now and she's paying it down, but I bet there's a lot of people who are in way worse of a situation because $15,000 sounds like a ton of money now. You've seen my previous videos that I've talked about credit card debt. 15 grand is almost nothing to a lot of people. We're talking about $50, $100, $200,000 in debt sometimes, so at least I guess in comparison the 15 isn't really that bad.
I just saw a video of a girl asking people how much money they keep in their checking account before they start freaking out. And she said that her minimum balance that she never goes below is $4,000. And I'm not going to tag her. I don't even know. I've never seen her before. I'm not going to put any clips because I don't want to shit on her. This isn't like me insulting her. I am just kind of baffled. But wait, there's more, because when I get into the comments, there were multiple people, and I barely scrolled through the comments, but I must have seen at least 4 people say that they freak out if their checking account balance is under 10K. In the checking account, I'm gonna be fully honest here and say that for the past 18 months, I'm lucky if I have 3 digits in the checking account, okay? I don't even have $10,000 to my name, okay? Hey, net worth, 6 feet under, baby. But if you're someone who has $10,000 in liquid assets, why is that not in a savings account? A high yield savings account, a regular savings account? Or am I totally off base? And are all of y'all just walking around out here with $4,000 to $10,000 in your checking account on the daily?
So this is one that I was guilty of for quite a long time. So at the same time that I was a full-time sneaker reseller, a lot of money was coming in, but a lot of money was going out. I was buying shoes every single day and they were very expensive. So I was never actually in debt, but I wanted to have a lot of money on hand because if some sneaker released and I got a whole bunch of pairs, obviously I'd have to spend a lot of money very quickly. So I never had a savings account until maybe 8 or 10 months ago. So there was years that I had a ton of money at hand, ready to go at a moment's notice if I had to spend a massive amount of money on shoes and a sneaker release or something restocked or whatever, right? But that was all sitting in a checking account. So I don't know exactly how much I would have made, but I now have a high yield savings account that's around 4.5%. So I probably could have potentially made thousands and thousands of dollars just having that exact money sitting in a savings savings account, because even though I did want to have a lot on hand for something that could come up very quickly, I never actually ended up using it. It's not like my checking account went to zero one day because I bought 100 pairs of shoes or something. So I didn't really need to do that, and instead all of that money just sat there and got eaten away by inflation, especially around that time, 2020 to around 2023. So even though I wasn't like financially irresponsible, I did leave a lot of money on the table because it did just sit in a checking account for years. And this is a video that even got backlash in the comments. I think is funny because it is more of a just honest realization to a lot of people who glorify like the doom spending or being in massive amounts of credit card debt and just making like funny, relatable content on TikTok, not taking it seriously.
I have one more hot take. Credit card debt is not normal. I feel like people make a joke out of it on this app. I get it. If you are in between jobs, you are struggling, and you genuinely need to accumulate credit card debt, this is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about people that go out to dinners, go on vacation. I feel like there's a lot of young, impressionable people on this app, and I want you guys to know that it is not normal. I talk to my friends. We do not have credit card debt. It is not funny. Unfortunately, real life is real. Living within your means is so much better.
And again, that seems pretty straightforward to me. You know, you shouldn't be in credit card debt. It's not a good thing. You're going to lose a lot of money because of these credit card companies, these banks. And then you go in the comments and you have stuff like this. Sometimes you should just not say the thoughts that are in your head. This sounds so out of touch. And she wasn't even just making a blanket statement. Like she said, if you didn't have a job and you still needed to survive, clearly you still need to get groceries or you're going to die. So yeah, going to debt is better than death. But a lot of the people that are in debt are because they're constantly shopping. They're constantly going out to dinner. They're constantly going on vacations. And then these same people will get mad that you're calling them out when they're just debt slaves now for the rest of their lives because they had to go to Disney World this year. The creator replied to this comment as well. Not having debt is out of touch, or maybe people living beyond their means is out of touch. And another person commented, if not going into debt for dinners and trips you can't afford is out of touch, I will happily be on another planet. So I mean, pretty straightforward there. And the last clip is an interesting one for a woman who is currently getting out of credit card debt. She's fixing everything. And you could see exactly the predatory emails that the credit card company is giving her just to try to get her back into debt because that's how they're going to make money.
You guys, I literally cannot make this shit up. Chase just increased my credit limit again. From $23,200 to $26,700, which makes my total overall credit limit $43,000. And this is so fucking predatory because they act like they just did you a service. They're like, oh my God, you have so much extra money now. They're like, this means you have more purchasing power when planning your next vacation or making home improvements. Bitch, it is so completely unnecessary for anyone to have a $26,700 credit limit, let alone a $43,000 plus, whatever. It just goes to show I have been paying off my credit card for the last 6 months now. I've gone from $36,000 to $18,000. I always forget. I don't know. And credit card companies see that and they're so predatory. They're like, wait a second, come back. Wait a second, you were paying us so much interest and now it's going down. Oh my God. They're missing out on, last year they made $5,000 for me on interest. This year they're not going to make anything near that. I feel like everyone always asks how did you get such high of a credit limit, blah, blah, blah. I was in debt. They literally love people who are in debt because they're making so much money from us. And that is why my credit limit is so high, because I was always maxing out my cards and making my payments on time. So I was paying, my cards were maxed. They were like, what if we gave her more? If we gave her more limit, then surely I can see her habits. We can make a lot of money off of her. And they did. Anyways, Chase literally get a grip.
So you could go from absolutely no financial knowledge, swiping all the time, getting yourself into massive debt, not knowing what's happening, to finally learning it, trying to take control of your life again and start paying that debt down. And the first thing that the credit card company does is to try to entice you and bring you back and increase the limits over and over again. I mean, it is just another form of addiction. It's just consumerism and shopping addictions and being able to buy whatever you want. And even when you're trying to finally fix it and get out of it, those same companies that that gave you that limit are still trying to push you back in. So I mean, it's very tough out there, especially now with a lot of people getting into debt for their necessities. It's not even just vacations, but on top of that, you also have people going out to eat every night and traveling all over the world with money that they don't have. So I could definitely see this getting worse in the next couple years with the recession coming, but let me know if you have any experiences like this down in the comments below. But this is the end of the video. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.